told us where we were going.
100%. And similar with Turning Point USA, Charlie had a plan moving past 2030 that he's shared with the team and has implemented. So we're not going anywhere.
We have the blueprints.
We have the blueprints. We have our marching orders, and we are just remaining humble and grateful to God. And we're
So what's up, everybody? We are back again covering this Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk confusion. We got the replacement is full steam ahead. I'm going to show you the connections with Ben Shapiro with the replacement, Erika Kirk, with the full steam ahead. Listen, a lot of people are not feeling it. They're not liking it, and it's not their fault, okay? I understand that the show must go on, but, and obviously Charlie wouldn't want the show not to go on. We know this. I'm not going to act like all of that is completely weird, but some of it just simply is. I've been looking into this, and I can't find his parents. So it's like those parts that are weird to me. You know what? It's not even the fact that they're moving on kind of thing, because, yeah, the show would continue to go on. You shouldn't stop or whatever. Like, you definitely shouldn't. But I think for me, it's everything surrounding it, right? And so I think that's the part that a lot of people are very people are feeling offended almost by it. Like, I think that's really the word for it. We'll listen to this again a little bit, and then I'm going to show you, the Ben Shapiro connection with the replacement. It's just so plastic to me. It really is. But before... I'm sorry, I keep saying I'm just, putting it all together. But listen, before I start the clip, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you to every eye that lands on these videos. I just, I'm very grateful all the time.
That there was enough content, always.
He made sure we recorded everything.
Everything.
He would not do a speech unless we could get the video and the
100%. So we have speeches that no one's heard of. We have interviews that no one's heard of. We have stuff from Korea and Japan that no one's heard of.
Podcasts.
So, I mean, in the words of my husband, buckle up, because there is a lot of content to be had. And we have so many amazing things down the pipeline that we are working on currently that will
unveil in due time.
I am so excited.
Yeah.
And so,
and by the way, those are things Charlie himself
that he wanted.
We were working on some big things, right up until the end, and we've talked about that a lot. Like a lot of the guiding vision that we're using right now to kind of steady the ship and figure out where we're going is the things Charlie himself 100%. Told us where we were going.
100%. And similar with Turning Point USA, Charlie had a plan moving past 2030.
So we looked at that part. And so, all of this, she showed up to the show. I'll give it this much. She looked like, besides the big smile, she looked like a woman in mourning. She has black on. She's not heavy, full of makeup and everything. That is how you should present yourself. So I'm not giving her a hard time there. I think she's going to be on the Alex Clark show, and we'll check her out there and see how that goes or whatever. But, shout out to her as far as like presenting herself well in that order. I'm trying to be as balanced as possible, but I'm telling you, even in the comments, and drop a comment below, let me know what y'all think. But I'm telling you, even in the comments, people are like, no, she's smiling way too hard. And I do kind of feel the same way. I'm not saying you never smile. It's just, man, a gruesome killing too. And I thought it was interesting.
Just know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time. But nothing is by coincidence.
So I remember this clip, this being done. I think this was done like just a couple weeks before. No, like a year and a half. Lord, a month and a half before Charlie was ended. Was it? It was a little bit before, but we were definitely hardcore in the pro-Israel Christian Zionism. I mean, coming out strong with it. Maybe before it was always there, but you kind of didn't knew. But by the time this happened, it was already coming on strong. I saw another video of these two, Erika Kirk and Charlie Kirk, talking about how they met. Now, this video was, taped, I think, like a good 7 years, but 5 years ago. It's not recent, and this part of the story never shows up in the video. And to me, I feel like, because that is uncanny, and she's saying nothing is by coincidence. Well, okay, to see your husband randomly all the way in Israel, and then to now meet this person and then marry this person, and then so that right there, you would think is that's always been part of their love story. But this part of the story, it seems like it just showed up. I'll do a separate video on that.
Going to be doing a full TPUSA sponsored college speaking tour is Brilyn Hollyhand. He's a 19-year-old political commentator. He's best-selling author of One Generation Away, Why Now is the Time to Restore American Freedom. He's chair of the RNC's Youth Advisory Council, and he's host of his own show, The Brilyn Hollyhand Show. Brilyn, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Ben, thanks for having me. Happy Friday. I appreciate the opportunity.
So first of all, why don't we talk about what exactly the college speaking tour is going to constitute? How many colleges are you hitting? Which ones are they? And what are you going to be talking about?
Ben, what man meant for evil, the Lord is now using for good. And what's become clear in the last week is that you can kill a man, but you can't kill a movement. And all across this country, we're seeing an uprising of the next generation waking up to the fact with seeds of revival being planted across this country. What this assassin, this coward, in an attempt to shut our generation up, he actually woke us up. And we're going to be traveling to these campuses to speak to young people that are more energized than ever before. So I kicked off the tour last night at the University of Arkansas to a sold-out auditorium of over 500 students that packed out to come see us with 1 week notice. We're going to 9 other campuses, so 10 campuses total.
You gotta watch the mannerisms of this person. First of all, these people I've never it's not his mannerism in a sense of like that he's well put together, like he has a suit on and he knows his words. I mean, he speaks very well, right? Look at the mic and everything's coming out, and he only said like one time. Me, I'm always I'm like all day, right? So I'm not hating on that. I'm not hating on his whiteness or anything like that at all. Because Charlie Kirk was like, he was a white man, right? Like, and it's like the white guy, that kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about. But Charlie still felt real. Even though now I'm just wondering, like, where's his parents? Here's another story. That I'm going to have to get into. It's just a lot. But this person, it almost feels like they put the card in, and this kid is just like, what the Lord's man made for you, the Lord will use for good. And so we've seen it here on the Pack College Tour. We've seen a lot of kids have coming out, and they're coming out for this new generation. They thought they could shut us up, but they woke us up. And that's what, like, it just feels almost like pod people, like revenge. Like, that's the feeling it's given. I think that's what's offending me, people, more than the private jet that he was flying on, right? And then even this right here looks like Will Kane. You know what I mean? And of course it's Ben Shapiro.
All across this country, because so many young people are eager to get off the sidelines right here, right now, because they're waking up to the fact, Ben, that this is no longer red versus blue. This is a fight of good versus evil. They want to be on the side of good. They want to pay attention to politics. This is no longer a fight of just their parents' or grandparents' arena. They want to get in the arena now, and it's so cool to see.
So why don't we talk about the kind of stuff that you're going to be...
You can tell this is a this better be pre-recorded. Let me put it this way. For how cold it is, and there's nothing warm about this video, it needs to be pre-recorded, okay? Like, don't tell me that they were doing this in real time, because both of them, even Ben Shapiro, because I'm going to show you, we'll just look a little bit. I'm going to actually skip to the part where Ben asks him about what happened with the whole situation about the private jet. And then I'm going to show you Ben when he interviewed a young Charlie Kirk and how both of them were different then.
No, Brilyn, it does feel like there is a gigantic movement that was already arising, obviously, before Charlie was killed. It is now multiplied in size and effect. So a bit of controversy broke out over a social media video that you did introducing the tour. You were sitting on a private plane, and so people were getting uptight with you for being on a private plane while making this video.
Ben Shapiro is tired. You know, this man, this agent is, and yes. Ben Shapiro came out of Breitbart, started his big conservative movement. Everything goes through Ben Shapiro. When Charlie Kirk was still allowing Candace Owens to be in his tours and all of that after she got fired from Daily Wire for calling out the genocide and Gaza and everything. He was leaking Media Matter stories to Media Matters about Charlie Kirk. Okay, I remember this and I covered this. This was a while ago, but I did cover it. Okay, this guy is like, when people thought that Ben Shapiro was going to pick up the bloody microphone, actually like say I'm taking over Turning Point, that was insane. I think they downsized at Daily Wire just to prepare for certain things getting ready to happen. But Ben Shapiro is certainly you have to think, Big Con Inc. goes through these people. Remember, Steven Crowder had issues with Daily Wire. Remember all of that, right? So Big Con Inc. goes through these people. We have developed this conservative movement that is all about Christian Zionism, right? And then all about do whatever the GOP tells you to do. You must vote red. If you don't vote red, and I'm not saying you have to vote blue either, but if you don't vote red, then you're like the worst person. You know, like this is all America's about. Is about like, and to be honest, I don't know what MAGA is anymore. I am going on a tangent, but you know, this is all, you know, birthed out of this man right here. Okay, this has been a whole thing. All right, now, and how best to get the minds of people is through the media.
Take on that.
Ben, I've been in politics for 8 years. I've never flown private before. I flew private last night because to make it to this tour, I had to leave English class in the afternoon and make it really a tight turnaround to get to the speech in Arkansas. Not my plan of the future.
Okay, so anyway, he just answered, however. He doesn't care about the controversy, which I didn't even notice. He was on a private jet. People were like, oh, like, you know, this is like, it doesn't make sense. He was on a private jet. You know, it doesn't connect with the kids who are in college and stuff. And I get that, but it's like, it wasn't the biggest deal to me. But also don't act like you couldn't afford a private jet because, you know, your dad, apparently they're saying his father is like a mogul in a Section 8 housing, you know, putting Section 8 housing in great white neighborhoods and stuff like that. I'd have to look into that a little bit more. These are not poor people. Don't act like anybody really could get a private jet, to be honest, if you just, you know how to do it and work the system, whatever. Not to say anybody, but he could get a private jet if he wanted to get it. So you don't have to act poor, you know, just you don't have to. Just be like, you know what? I just went in the private, my neighbor had a private jet. We don't have one. I didn't think about it, but, you know, he did, so he let me hold it or something, you know. Don't act like you can't afford it. Right? Just lean into it. Lean into who you are. Like, what? Like, look at these. Wait, hold on.
Not a political commentator and college freshman, Brilyn Hollyhand, and he is a close friend of Charlie, and he's been in touch with the Kirk family.
Well, what is this horrible picture of Charlie Kirk that they decided to use 2 weeks ago? Now, he's on the YouTube. What is this horrible picture? Come on, Fox News. Y'all could have did better than that. But this must have been him talking to Dean Cain. It's just like the same. Tell me that doesn't look like Dean Cain right here. Hold on, let me just make it bigger. Dean Cain here and right?
When I started my podcast, and not a lot of people wanted to go on a fourth grader's podcast, but Charlie took a chance on me when he didn't have to. And I want to tell you my favorite Charlie story that just kind of brought a smile to my face a moment ago as I was thinking of it again. I asked Charlie after the interview, I said, Charlie, you're such a huge figure. What advice do you have for an 11-year-old like me? And he said, Brilyn, the left may have all the money in the world, but they can never outwork me. I will wake up as early as I need to. I will stay up as late as I need to, and I will never stop fighting for this country. And that was so many years ago, and we'll spend this week remembering Charlie and remembering his legacy. And a lot of people have a lot of things to say about the impact that Charlie had on this nation and on the youth movement and getting Gen Z off the side.
I mean, you know, and he's a kid, you know, but young people and women are very vindictive, but it's all right. It's okay. It's just not the same, whatever. So let me just show you, because I'm, you know, trying to put this all together. It is a lot. And suddenly, like, this kid is the videos are coming out on his YouTube. I didn't mean to go this far into it. You know, like I never heard of it. I have been dealing in commentary for politics and all this. Like, I've had the channel since 2021. How have I never heard of this kid? Like, I mean, I guess he always had his channel. He always had his channel, but somebody said they made him in a lab to get rid of Nick Fuentes. But hold on. This is taking longer as usual. So here's a young Charlie Kirk and a young...
So here we are with Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. Charlie, of course, is the head of Turning Point USA, and Candace is the communications director, is your official title, over at Turning Point USA. And it's really exciting to have you here. Glad you could squeeze in the time, because you guys have been busy setting the world on fire. I mean, you're in the headlines, and you're all over Twitter, obviously, and on social media. Why don't you give me sort of the status update, Charlie, and then I want to ask Candace some questions about sort of what's going on in her great crusade to break up a lot of the group identity politics.
Things have been going great. I mean, we've had an unbelievable semester. We spoke, I think, over 38 times since January 1st on campuses, and, you know, that takes a grind because you do a lot of speaking, too. We did UCLA, Stanford, and UC Berkeley in the last 6 weeks, which has been amazing. We have our Young Women's Leadership Summit coming up next week. You're speaking there. And yeah, we've just been, you know, kicking butt, taking names. We're expanding to more and more campuses. But
just looks a lot more human to me, you know? It just does. I mean, he barely can look at the camera. You know, I'm not saying that the kid has to be nervous or whatever, but it just looks a lot more human to me than this other kid. He is salivating. How long ago this was this? Excuse me, guys, for my terrible English. This is at the age of like 23. This is a 23-year-old. Not that far from a 19-year-old, you know? But a lot more human. Even if you didn't like him, you felt more human about him. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you for now. There will be more to come. Please stick around. I see you guys at the next one. Bye.